Story 4. The Colony Ship Discovery. The UNSA Magellan had been in deep space for 14 months, a crew of 8 conducting routine survey work in the outer reaches of the solar system, beyond the orbit of Neptune. Commander Rachel Torres sat in the observation deck, watching the stars. Real stars, not the simulated sky of Earth, not the filtered light through atmosphere. Out here, the stars were sharp points of pure light, countless billions of them stretching in every direction. The mission was supposed to be straightforward: map gravitational anomalies, study trans-Neptunian objects, collect data on the heliopause. Boring work, really, the kind of long-duration survey that required patience more than brilliance. Rachel had volunteered because she wanted the solitude, the distance from Earth, the opportunity to exist in a space where problems couldn't follow her. But then the Magellan's sensors detected something that shouldn't have been there. An object, massive, in an elliptical orbit that brought it into the outer solar system every few thousand years. Initial scans suggested it was metallic, not a natural body like an asteroid, but something manufactured. "Commander, you need to see this!" Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the intercom from the bridge. Rachel pulled herself out of her contemplation and moved through the ship's corridors, pushing off walls in the zero gravity, heading toward the command center. When she saw the sensor data, her breath caught. The object was enormous, over 2 miles long, cylindrical, rotating slowly on its axis. The rotation suggested artificial gravity generation. This wasn't space debris. This wasn't a dead satellite from some old Earth mission. This was a ship, an alien ship. "How long has it been here?" Rachel asked quietly. "Spectroscopic analysis suggests the hull has been exposed to cosmic radiation for at least 10,000 years, Chen replied. "But Commander, it's still powered. We're detecting a faint energy signature." Rachel felt a chill despite the regulated temperature of the ship. 10,000 years. This object had been drifting through space since before human civilization began, since before the pyramids, since before written language. And it was still active. The decision to investigate was never really a question. This was why they were here, why humanity explored space, to find something like this. Rachel ordered a course correction, and over the next 3 days, the Magellan slowly approached the alien vessel. As they drew nearer, the ship's true scale became apparent. 2 miles long, half a mile in diameter, covered in what appeared to be layers of ice and accumulated cosmic dust. But beneath that accumulation, they could see the original surface, smooth metal, inscribed with patterns that might have been writing or decoration or something else entirely. "It's a colony ship," Dr. Park, the mission's xenobiologist, said with certainty. "Look at the structure. Habitation modules, what might be agricultural sections, storage. This was designed to carry a population across interstellar distances." But where were they going? Rachel wondered aloud. And where did they come from? The ship appeared to be dead, its rotation the only sign of any activity, likely just residual momentum from its initial launch thousands of years ago. But those energy readings suggested otherwise. Something was still functioning inside that massive vessel. Rachel assembled a team for EVA, extravehicular activity. She, Chen, and Dr. Park would suit up and cross the distance to the alien ship. The rest of the crew would monitor from the Magellan, ready to extract them at the first sign of danger. The crossing took 40 minutes, their suit thrusters firing in carefully calculated bursts to match the rotation of the alien ship. As they approached, Rachel could see details invisible from a distance, ports and windows, darkened now, like the dead eyes of some massive creature. Docking ports, or what appeared to be docking ports, though configured differently from any human design. They found an airlock, or what they hoped was an airlock. Chen worked at the access panel while Rachel and Dr. Park stood watch, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. After 20 minutes of trial and error, Chen got it open. The doors parted with surprising smoothness, revealing a corridor beyond, still pressurized after all these millennia. Atmospheric sensors show breathable air, Chen reported, his voice tight with barely controlled excitement. Oxygen-nitrogen mix, similar to Earth, but with higher CO2 levels. We could actually breathe in there. Keep suit sealed anyway, Rachel ordered. We don't know what else might be in that atmosphere. They moved into the ship, their lights revealing architecture that was both familiar and profoundly alien. The corridors were wider than human corridors would be, the ceilings higher. The walls were covered in that same inscribed pattern they'd seen on the exterior, flowing lines and geometric shapes that hurt to look at too long, as if they contained some meaning that human eyes couldn't quite process. The ship was silent except for a low hum that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, the sound of power systems still functioning after 10,000 years. Emergency lighting flickered on as they moved deeper, pale blue light that cast strange shadows. D around a central column. The column was active, pulsing with soft light, covered in displays showing information in an alien language. Rachel approached carefully. As she came within a few feet of the column, it reacted. The display changed, showing images, a planet, not Earth but similar, with blue oceans and brown continents and white polar caps. Then the view pulled back, showing that planet system, a yellow star like Sol, other planets orbiting. It's showing us their home, Chen breathed. The display changed again. The same planet, but different now. The oceans were darker, the atmosphere thick with something, dust or smoke or pollution. The continents showed spreading patches of what looked like decay or disease, and in orbit around the planet were thousands of ships like this one, all preparing to launch, all filled with refugees fleeing whatever had destroyed their world. Rachel felt tears in her eyes. This ship was a lifeboat, one of thousands, carrying survivors away from a dying world. But where had they gone? The display showed trajectories, hundreds of them, spreading out in all directions through the galaxy. This ship had been aimed at our solar system, but something had gone wrong. It had been damaged or disabled, left drifting, its passengers lost. The display changed one final time, showing what appeared to be a message. Mathematical symbols, universal in their meaning, coordinates, specific locations within our solar system, 3 of them, and beneath each coordinate was a number, a countdown. What is it counting down to? Dr. Park asked. Chen checked his tablet, running calculations. His face went pale. Commander, these coordinates are all in stable orbits within the habitable zone, and the countdown, it ends in 6 days. 6 days until what? Until arrival. These aren't historical markers. These are active trajectories. There are more ships coming, 3 more colony ships, and they'll be here in less than a week. Rachel's mind raced. Thousands of ships had fled that dying world. This one had arrived 10,000 years ago, damaged and disabled, but others had kept going, their populations in some kind of hibernation, perhaps. their ship's AI maintaining course across the vast gulfs of space. And now, finally, 3 of them were about to arrive at the destination they'd selected so long ago. Earth! "We need to inform Mission Control immediately," Rachel said. "We need to—" She was interrupted by a sound, a deep, resonant tone that seemed to come from the ship itself. The lights flickered, brightened. Throughout the vessel, they could hear systems coming online, machinery waking from millennia of sleep. "It's activating," Chen said, his voice tight with alarm. "Our presence must have triggered some kind of automated sequence." The display changed again, showing a schematic of the ship. One section was highlighted, what appeared to be a large chamber in the center of the vessel. And in that chamber, biosignatures were appearing. Thousands of them waking up, coming out of whatever stasis had preserved them for the journey. "They're still alive," Dr. Park whispered. "All this time, they've been in hibernation, waiting for the ship to reach its destination." Rachel made a decision. "We need to leave, now, back to the Magellan, and then we need to get this information to Earth before those other ships arrive." They ran through the corridors, the ship coming to life around them, lights strengthening, the hum of power growing louder. Behind them, they could hear sounds, movement, voices perhaps, the awakening of a population that had slept for 10,000 years while their ship drifted through the void. They reached the airlock, sealed it behind them, and made the crossing back to the Magellan. As soon as they were aboard, Rachel ordered maximum burn back toward Earth. They needed to warn humanity. 3 colony ships were coming, carrying populations that might number in the millions, refugees from a dead world looking for a new home. And they had chosen Earth. The implications were staggering. Would they be peaceful? Would they ask permission to settle? Or would they simply take what they needed? How would humanity react to the sudden arrival of alien refugees? The political, social, and ethical dimensions of the situation were overwhelming. As the Magellan accelerated toward home, Rachel sat in the observation deck, looking back at the alien ship growing smaller in the distance. She thought about the being who had lived in that ship, who had left behind personal belongings and memories. They had been desperate enough to abandon their own world, to cross the impossible distance between stars, to put themselves into hibernation with only faith that they would wake again. What must it be like, she wondered, to wake after 10,000 years? To find that your ship had drifted off course, that you'd arrived not at your intended destination, but at a world occupied by a young, primitive species that had only just begun to reach for the stars themselves. The message Earth received from the Magellan caused immediate panic, then denial, then desperate preparation. 6 days to prepare for the arrival of 3 alien colony ships, each carrying unknown thousands of refugees who believed they had a claim to our solar system based on a 10,000-year-old trajectory calculation. Rachel wondered how it would end. Would humanity rise to meet this challenge with compassion and wisdom? Or would fear and territoriality win out? She hoped for the former, but feared the latter. The stars continued to shine, indifferent to human concerns. And somewhere in the darkness between planets, 3 massive ships continued their approach, their sleeping passengers dreaming of a new home, unaware of the young species that had evolved on the world they were about to claim.